Call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First item of business is the approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting, May 8th, 2023. I will entertain a motion.
I approve.
I second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the board meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. The next item of business is the approval of general fund vouchers 80386 through 80512 and wire transfers 2023-507 through 2023-599. I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Next item of business is the public hearing sections. Anybody got anything they want to share?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Hello, my name is Anna Meyer. Today I would like to talk to you about the possibility of getting 6th grade cross country. This year I'd like to participate in cross country because I would like to be part of a team and compete with other kids my age. Last year our middle school team had only 3 athletes and they were not able to compete as a team and get points for team placing because you need 5 people to make a team. I would love to be able to run with my sister's friends and be part of a fun team. This will help this year's 6th graders transition from the elementary school to the middle school and have people to help them feel comfortable. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thanks for coming on here and being brave enough to share that with us. So for the public section, you guys share your ideas with us, and then we'll take that up as a conversation later on. So thank you for sharing.
I'm here to kind of elaborate on that.
Okay.
So, hello, my name is Shelby Meyer. I'm going to be a sophomore next year here at Clear Lake High School, and I would like to share with you some benefits of cross country that I've experienced and why we should have 6th graders for cross country. When I first joined in 7th grade, I just kind of did it to stay in shape for basketball, and I never would have thought that it would have turned into one of my favorite sports like it is now. I've learned perseverance, mental toughness, goal setting, leadership, and how to be positive on a 4-mile workout. To say the least, joining cross country was one of the best decisions I could have made in my middle school career. Cross country is all about personal growth, achieving goals, pushing yourself, and working for that next PR. Some of the physical benefits are improving balance and coordination and gaining lower body strength. It also has benefits for your heart's health. Aside from physical benefits, running helps with boosting your confidence. It helps relieve stress and eliminate depression. Cross country isn't for everybody, and we understand that, but we feel that the opportunity to try it should be available to everybody that is eligible to compete in our conference. There will be no additional cost to the district because practice and meets are together. It will give 6th graders the chance to connect with high schoolers and build their confidence to be a role model themselves in the elementary building. For instance, 8 out of the 10 other school districts that we have contacted have 5th and 6th graders competing at their conference level. Please consider allowing 6th graders the opportunity to be part of our middle school cross country team. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for coming in. Anyone else want to share anything? Well, thank you, ladies, for coming in then. All right, then the next item of business is the Spotlight in Education, the state solo and ensemble students.
So this is going to be brief, but over half of our entries made it to state solo and ensemble at UW Eau Claire. The students performed in front of a judge, and the judging is more strict when they make it to that level. It's an honor to make it to state because you can only miss up to 3 points total. There are 5 categories: tone, intonation, accuracy, technique, and expression. Today I have Shelby Meyer and Isaac Anderson here to share their experiences. So I don't know who wants to go first. Okay.
As she said, I'm Isaac Anderson, and this year I went to State Solo Ensemble, and I just had a really positive experience. I got to meet some new people and I guess be critiqued on my singing and increase my singing abilities. So that's
opportunity. I was able to compete my classical solo and my musical theater this year, which was a great experience. When I went to do my musical theater, I just loved seeing everybody all dressed up because you get all in costume and you kind of dance around with your song. So it was really cool to see everybody all dressed up and everyone's like, oh, I love your costume, and you got to meet so many fun people. And then it was just really nice, like Isaac said, to just kind of like go and be critiqued and learn so much more than you would have just competing it once, and just hearing different judges' perspectives. And you don't really know going in how many people are going to be in the room. So it's just kind of, it helps with like public speaking and just like performing in front of other people. So I just really like the opportunity to go and compete at such a high level with other people that are also very passionate about music.
Yeah, very good.
So do you perform one at a time, or?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I did ask if we could perform, but for another time, for you all,
We
for
should
another
plan.
time.
Yeah, we should plan. How many students made it to state solo ensemble this fall?
5 students, but 8 entries. So, yeah, they did well.
Yeah.
Good job.
So I know it's summertime, so that's why we have 2 here tonight. I'm glad you guys were able to come in, but we had other kids who made it to state too, and they were all invited, of course, too. But
Yes.
so yeah, thank you for.
Thank you. It's strange to talk about it and not perform it, right? Yeah. It's a lot for us, but thank you for having us. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
And if you guys want to sneak out, rather than hang out for the whole meeting, you're welcome to, whatever you decide to do.
We probably will.
Don't have to speak.
Except Isaac.
Unless you want to sing.
Do you want to sing?
When is our Sorry, 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay, I guess we're all sneaking out, so.
Thanks, you
Well,
guys.
thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Flags.
Flags is at 6.
Passion are at
Yeah.
6, so that's it. He's not a flag. He's a passion.
There you go.
Sorry, I gotta wake my computer up here.
Oh, sorry, fell asleep. There you go.
Mine falls asleep so fast.
All right, so our next item of business is, maybe you guys better check on me here. Approval of resignations, right?
Approval- Yep, and we don't have any resignations, so we can.
Move on to the higher section then.
Okay, so good news to share here with a couple of positions. So we were able to fill our food service director position. So Tara Petter, she lives in Amory nearby with her family, and she's been working for many years, since I believe 2009, at the why am I forgetting
Baldwin
the actually?
Hospital.
Baldwin, but what is it? Western Wisconsin
Western Health.
Health in Baldwin. Been the director of food services or culinary services there since 2009, and so we're very fortunate to hire Tara as our food service director. And then the other one here is, if you recall, last month we had Carrie Blanchard had resigned from her position as athletics and open enrollment secretary. Turn of events, basically, change of plans or whatever, without getting into it with her personal things. But anyway, Carrie, we were happy to hire her back to her old position. And so she came back within a short period of time. And then I do have some updates we'd like to talk about with that position, but we can save that for another agenda item. But in the immediate, she would like to come back to her old position that she was currently doing.
All right, so for right now's sake, then I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the hires.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve our new hires. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Next item of business, approval of athletics and enrollment data secretary hire.
Yeah, so this is where, if we'd like to, I know there's a few things related to compensation that maybe we would want to discuss in close first and come back, but some enhancements to the position that we're looking at in terms of change of duties. with that.
Okay, so then we'll table that and we'll move on to the update on progress of vision element study team work.
Okay. Nettie, you want to?
Well, we met, I think every part is done. Just some fine tuning presentation part of it we'll be presenting at the next board meeting here for first read, and then hopefully when we have that short little meeting at the end of July to approve budget, we can then, so you have time to digest it and think about it, and then hopefully that second meeting in July we can approve it so we can get it ready to present at the annual board meeting and end of August.
So to present it, Nettie, we're going to have a group of the
Most of the best team is going to be here. There's going to be about 3 or 4 that do the actual present to you to walk you through the different pieces, the vision, the mission, and then the different pillars.
Very good.
I plan to do a slideshow, a PowerPoint slideshow for the group, and then
Is there a way to get a sneak peek?
It's still being pulled together a little bit. I think it's good. It's hard to condense so much material once, from the 2 nights of meetings. So all that, we're working on putting an addition onto the web page for the school that everything will be out there for everybody to see. So all the comments that you all got copies of it.
yeah.
So is that portion of it done by the VEST team, or is that done with the VEST team and Brad?
The VEST, Brad's pretty much kind of done with his process. So the VEST is themselves putting together the presentation. He's in the back. If someone, if they have a question or, say, reach out, I think, to, clarify a approach to take. But they're going to present it themselves, and then, but yeah, they got the work that was done at the last meeting was the hardest work. I mean, putting together, taking all that, and trying to write mission statements, vision statements, values, the pillars draft. I mean, that was hard work.
22 pages down to a 1 sentence.
Yeah, that was
definition
hard work.
under a pillar is hard.
But the idea is that July 10th meeting, the VEST group would come and present for the board to consider adopting it. But yeah, wait till the next meeting to formally do it, kind of like first read, second read idea. So.
Will Brad be here?
No.
All right, good.
Yeah, he was really a facilitator. He didn't say, I think you should do this, you need to do. I mean, he really was hands off and asked the questions to make us think through what we pulled together. He was great at saying, okay, what were the 5 words that really stuck out to you, or 3 words, and then you just start working on the process. So he was a facilitator. He wasn't an answer giver whatsoever.
So it'll be exciting to see that information, and then kind of as a board decide what we want to do to move forward to implement some of the stuff. Fun. All right, any other questions on the VEST? All right, then we'll move on then to our review of achievement gap reduction year-end report.
Okay, so if you click down or click on that agenda item, you'll be able to open up an attachment there, and then I'll turn it over to Mrs. Anderson to share.
So just a refresher, the achievement gap reduction is, we call it AGR. It is funding to have low class sizes in grades K through 3, 18 to 1 student-teacher ratio. And we have our objectives there and how we do this, and our main strategy is that class size reduction. There are some other options you can do, but we have found that to be the best for our setting. We monitor the progress on the far to right columns using our FastBridge test. It's a screener that we do 3 times a year. So the first column there off to the right is our winter data, the progress the kiddos made from fall to winter, and then the far right column is our final May data. Some of the things that we noticed, and I feel like we are really putting a lot of pieces together right now, so you'll notice some of the percentages changing, and you can ask questions, certainly. Working with our CISA consultants, we're finding out that some of our resources aren't quite matching the mapping that we want the kids to know at certain times during the year. So that's one thing that we are at the point where we're now mapping out to make sure the objectives and the standards that we need the kids to know at different times of the year are being taught at those times that they need them. One thing regarding the kindergarten data, which they were disappointed in what they had here, is we're noticing that on this FastBridge test, it's a lot of timed, and if they don't get it within a certain, like it's fast. They're reading words, they're saying sounds, they're doing letters, and it comes fast. So collectively the kids know, but they're just not producing it as fast. So I did want to give a little caveat to that piece. And then one of the teachers said, and there's one sight word. Sight words are just words you just should know. You can't sound them out. That comes up at the beginning of the test, and then they get stuck on it, and then it just kind of throws them. So it's like they're just saying, well, I guess we're going to just have to make sure they know that word, and then it can get them past that. So, but yeah, overall, we feel like the kids are making some progress, or at least staying within the range that a year's growth would produce. And I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Mrs. Anderson, so once we make those changes, how much of an impact do you think that's going to make on the numbers that we're looking at?
I think the mapping of the resources. A couple years ago, we started something called Haggerty Phonemic Awareness. So got to get into a lot of understanding about how you learn sounds and reading, but it's oral before it's written. So you need to hear everything before you can attach it to print. So we've been using that now for a couple of years, and I think we're gonna start seeing more of that. We've introduced this last year also a phonics, research-based phonics program that just completed 1 year. So an educational pendulum swing potentially, where there's a whole language where you do all sorts of literature circles and like that. And I think some of our phonics pieces were left to the side. Now we're really, I feel, coming back to the mid and getting those phonics pieces, that oral understanding of how sounds work, and then really bringing it together. And it's collectively across the nation where phonics is now becoming a really big focus.
Well, in fact, if you've been paying attention to the news out of Madison with the state legislature, there's a bill that's probably going to be passed that actually legislation to enact the science of reading, which is based upon the principles that the group's been working on, phonemic awareness and phonics and the elements of that. So that's what we've been working towards starting last spring as well, too. So I recall the kindergarten numbers last year similar, where something about that fall assessment must be much easier, because we saw a similar track last year. In the fall they had this really high percentage, and then it was like back to reality in the winter and spring, it seemed like.
And we're analyzing some of that data too, of understanding, what could be that piece. We were at a reading through CSUD, just a reading group time with our Title I person, Mrs. Jillick, and discussing with other districts. They're seeing similar with their kindergarten. Kindergarten isn't what kindergarten was. I mean, they need to come out being readers. So there is a very high expectation and standard to be successful at the end of a kindergarten year, and it is to be reading. So.
Well, and 5% of the population of the kindergarten class are Frenchies, so you gotta expect the percentage to be
I didn't want to say that.
a little bit off. I just want the board to know
I hope that pendulum swings with the phonics and the lowering the expectations for kindergarten, because I think their expectations have gotten a little high at that level and that maturity.
Yeah. Well, and I think as the kids, so if I were still teaching second grade, my incoming second graders this year would know more of the foundational pieces of language than what I would have had. So we're really, it's building.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I can only expect those numbers to be higher.
Yeah, no one's satisfied with what we see, and it's going to take time to keep it.
Just refresh my memory, the baseline, that's our baseline of our students, or that's a baseline from somewhere else?
This is a national standard,
Okay.
so we are comparing ourselves to to the
So they're at 82% and we are ending the year at 35% for kindergarten reading. Okay.
The national standard or the national average?
Those percentages are our kids meeting the standard.
The baseline.
Okay.
The baseline is what percentage of our kids in the fall met the standard.
Okay, so we set
Oh,
that.
okay.
That's our kids' performance. Yep.
We did include on there 4, 5, and 6, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, just for, to see that growth. And, even with some higher percentages of performance in that screener, some classes really,
Doing well.
really well. So there's things to celebrate, areas to, we have kind of the saying that data isn't there to judge, but it's there to learn. So we certainly take that data and we are learning from it to make changes.
Okay, any other questions for Mrs. Anderson?
Wasn't some of the ESSER money potentially curriculum type things that we can
Yeah.
use for big time curriculum?
We've been,
purchases?
basically every curriculum purchase we've been doing, if it hasn't already been used for over the years with title, because we don't want to supplant that, or we want to continue to use it with title if we've started it there. Complicated, but any other curriculum purchases, we definitely try to use all the ESSER monies wherever we
Great.
can. Yep.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. Next item of business is the approval of the 23-24 physical and occupational therapy contract.
Okay, so this is just a renewal with St. Croix Regional Medical Center. We've been with them for a number of years out of St. Croix Falls. Very happy with their services, very satisfied. We really don't have any, I don't believe we had any students with IEPs doing physical therapy for the last couple of years, but we do have some kids with OT, occupational therapy services. So someone will come into the building, different times throughout the week to work with specific students. So.
All right, then I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the renewal with St. Croix Regional Medical Center for OT and PT services.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the 23-24 physical and occupational therapy contracts. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. The next item of business is the approval of the 23-24 speech language therapy contract.
Yeah, so again, this is with Launch Therapies, speech and reading. And this is, I believe, we've just completed our 3rd year with them, probably going to start our 4th, I believe.
Yeah.
We've been unsuccessful in hiring a physical, real person, speech language pathologist. We posted it again this year. With that, we are very pleased with the teletherapy that we get through Launch. They do just an outstanding job. So the students sit live on a computer and talk with a person face to face. So they're having live interaction, but it's not in the room. The disadvantage is they can't go into the classroom sometimes, and like for pre-K, say see them in their natural environment with other kids. But again, we're very, very pleased with the work that Launch does with us.
Good. Then I'll entertain a motion if there's no other questions.
I move to approve the 23-24 speech language therapy contract.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the 23-24 speech language therapy contract. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is the consideration approval of donation to kinship.
Oh, missed one.
Scared school nurse.
Oh, yep, sorry guys. Approval of shared school nursing contract.
Okay, if you open up the attachment there, so we have done a variety of different things since about 4 years ago, when the Polk County Health Department notified us that they weren't going to provide school nursing services anymore. That kind of came out of the blue on us and kind of surprised us. So we've tried different things, contracting for some days with other districts and a variety. Had a couple leads I was going to pursue for next year, and then had Turtle Lake and Clayton approach me. One of our meetings, we get together a couple times a year and talk about some of our things that we share. And anyway, they approached me about sharing a partial contract for a school nurse. And so, so technically the contract will be with Turtle Lake. If you scroll down to the bottom, I just kind of penciled out there for us to see what our portion of it would be. So this would be a couple of days per month, which would actually be a lot more days of service than we used to have with Polk County. What we currently do, we have, one of the secretaries in each building, part of their title is as a health aide, and they do a lot of the things, clerical things that a school nurse would maybe do in other districts. And they do an outstanding job, really. They do an excellent job. But the nurse will be there as a consultant to help them with oversight, help do things more like, training for the staff on EpiPens and AED machines and, just helping those health aides with oversight on their paperwork and kind of ensuring that, they're doing it right, and had good conversations with the health aides about that, and I think they'll appreciate the added support. I think this is a good move for our district to kind of fill in a gap that we've been kind of struggling to fill since we didn't have the Polk County anymore. I should be able to use grant money actually this first year to pay for that and kind of assess our needs.
A year, yeah, 2 days a month.
So, any questions? Other questions?
I'll entertain a motion if there are none.
I move to approve the shared school nursing contract.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the shared school nurse contract. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
And I'll just clarify, so the contract will actually be with Turtle Lake, and then actually we'll sign a contract, 66031 or whatever the number is, with Turtle Lake actually, and they'll be the main one.
All right, next item of business is consideration/approval of donation to the kinship of Polk County.
So there's a letter attached there, and I had a very nice meeting with Lisa Thanig, who is the overall director of kinship in Polk County. Amy Danielson works in the buildings with the principals and the superintendent on a regular basis. She's here quite a bit, but it was nice to meet Lisa, who oversees both the school program and the public at large program. Anyway, just had a review of how the year went and how kinship as a role, and it was nice having been here for a while to have background with kinship and how it works, and specifically with the schools. So this is the program where high school mentors go over to the elementary school once a week and meet with students, and I've seen the positive impact not only for the young children getting mentored, but also the leadership development and growth for the mentors coming from the high school. So they've made a request. So last year we donated $2,000 to the kinship program, and they've asked us to consider that donation again this year. I would recommend that we do it again. I think that it's worth every penny for the benefit we get out of it.
Yeah, so we had them come in how many years ago, Chris? 2?
Oh, it's been, you mean actually come to a board meeting and talk? I'm not sure, I don't remember.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, really? So it's been that long?
Been that long, I don't know.
Anyway, if you'd have been in on that meeting, and they go through what they actually do, it is a worthwhile deal, so.
My daughter is a mentor.
Yeah.
Enjoys it.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I've had kids who've done that too, and they get as much out of it as the young kids who are getting mentoring. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the donation to the kinship of Polk County.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the donation to kinship. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, the next item of business is approval of our 2023 budget revision.
Okay, if you open up the attachment again there, so this is something that we just statutorily need to do. So with it, when it deals with like inter-fund transfers and you change that, so we had, if you read my explanation there, we had originally in the budget that we put together the last fall, we had put in a $50,000 transfer to Fund 38, which is a debt service fund, with the idea of just paying down a little bit of debt ahead of time. So a couple of things there is, one is we put the expense in Fund 10, and we didn't put the revenue into Fund 38, so that was one of the reasons why we had to do and fix with that. In the end, though, with working with Baird Financial on their advice, they kind of advised that it wasn't really worth it to do it for that small amount. So call it a rookie mistake for me last July, third week on the job, thinking that and they basically said for that small amount of money, it's not really worth the time and cost of doing that. So anyway, so we just need to do public notice of the change in the budget that was adopted last fall.
Okay. We need a motion on that, Chris?
Yeah, we do. Any questions or?
Third day on the job?
Third
week.
week.
Oh, ooh.
No, I think it was the second week.
Maybe it's the second week.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for the budget revision.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 budget revision.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the budget revision. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And then the next item of business is consideration / approval of acoustic sound panels purchased for high school music rooms.
So this is something we've been looking at for going back to midwinter, and we had gotten an original quote. If you open up the attachment from Audio Architects, we thought was pretty expensive, include installation. So we thought, well, perhaps we could look at some other alternatives, and Mr. Bo Osmondrud has been researching and looking for other products, and we're kind of finding that they're pretty expensive to get acoustic sound panels. And we thought we had found perhaps a winner with the Owens Corning ones that you see there. They were quite a bit less, but you need to purchase more of them because they're smaller, and they're also they're only an inch thick instead of 2 inches thick. So we've actually ordered a couple of those just as a sample to get them in to take a look at them. So to make a decision, the acoustics in both of those, if you've been in the choir room or in the band room, high ceilings, brick walls, lots of bouncing around, I think, and in talking to the choir and band directors throughout the year, they probably would prioritize this over some of the other things that we had as possibilities with some small rural school achievement grant money. And so, anyway, I'm not sure if we'll make a decision or figure out which direction we want to go in the next few weeks, but I thought it would be nice if we could get this approved, worst case scenario, and then, see if, because that way if we can figure out what the best route to go is, then we can get it done this summer would be our goal. So, but yeah, we found, for example, the second product there, it's actually more expensive product, and then we have to install it ourselves. So we were kind of blown away by how expensive it is to put acoustic sound panels in, but we're kind of coming back around. We're going to check out the Owens Corning brand and see about self-installation, but if we get them and they seem kind of flimsy and kind of not so good, we might have to go back to the first option there. And so, and again, this would be small rural schools achievement grant money that we would be able to use for stuff like this.
Okay.
So, for you to consider.
So you're looking for approval of what?
I guess what's the worst? I guess, well, we wouldn't use that, but the $33,000 is the biggest amount on there, but we wouldn't go with that. We'd go with the installed for less than that if we.
Thing is covered by grant then?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would use grant. We wouldn't do it if we didn't have adequate grant money to do it. So, because it's a pretty expensive thing to do.
So then maybe approval of you guys to make the decision on acoustical sound panels up to $33,000 then would be the kind of the wording?
That would be perfect.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve up to $33,000 for the acoustic barrier.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the acoustical sound panels up to $33,000. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is discussion of facilities and approval of Fund 46 update.
Okay, so we've had discussions on and off about this. So I have, based on some of our past discussion, reaching out to get proposals for doing a full facility study to analyze our entire all three of our buildings, so our high school building, our elementary building, and our bus garage, and all the properties. And I've had one meeting with one group that made a proposal. I'd like to seek a couple of other proposals and then bring those back to the board here in the future. So I think, like we've discussed before, I think the more we dig into the projects that we're aware of that need to be addressed, the more you realize how interrelated they are and how there's hidden things when you start looking at each one. And so having a construction company or what do I want to say, project management firm come in and look at that for us. So we know that with the referendum, these first few years, that we were going to have some budget surpluses at the end of each school year, and the talk was that we would be able to put those away into Fund 46 after meeting all of our other budgetary needs through the year. Certainly one of the things that we want to talk about later is the ongoing concerns with the track. So with that, going back to the idea of Fund 46, so since, we've got members who are newer since this was created, so it was 2016-17 is when we created Fund 46. So the way, that was a new law that allowed that to happen. And so we needed to put some money in there, and it needed to be open for 5 years before you could spend any of the money. Okay, so ours was open, our fund was in there for 5 years. We stockpiled money in there. 5 years passed, and then we were able to spend that money and use it on the roofing project last year. Okay, so now we don't have. If we put in new money now, we don't have to wait 5 years to spend that money. Okay, so it's a usable fund at this point. So. So I think in the longer term, we want to continue to try to build a fund balance up in Fund 46. One of the requirements of it is that you have to have a plan in place. It's very loose and flexible on what that plan can look like or what it could be. You simply need to state that we're saving money and here is our future goal that we'd like to use it for. So, we've got a facility study we'd like to undertake to set priorities for the future in the long term. But then in the short term, we know that we have this issue with our track that likely needs to be addressed here. So if you open up the attachment there, I took our old Fund 46 plan and just created a new draft. And this is just a very simplified, on the top part, just showing what's been going on in there just the last couple of years. And you can see what the balance was in there at the end of 2021, 1.5 million, and then we actually added a couple $100,000 more last July, and then of course July 22 and June 23, you can see those lines of expense there. That's basically, that's the roofing project. We made the final payment on it, I think in May or April of this year. So our current balance in there after fully paying off the roof project is $164,370. So the explanation down below. So just what Fund 46 is, it's a capital projects fund which can be funded through a transfer from Fund 10 at the end of each fiscal year. Expenditures from this fund must wait for 5 years from the date in which the fund was established. Clear Lake School District developed Fund 46 during the 16-17 school year and was board approved on June 26, 2017. This means that Fund 46 funds can be used at any time now. These funds may be only used for facility-related projects. So you can see what we just summarized. We, in those 5 years, accumulated $1.9 million in there, and 22 and 23, the roofing project was completed, spending approximately $1,750,797. So as of June of 23, we have, again, as I said, $164,370 in there. Ongoing plans to continue to supplement and build up Fund 46. And address needs that are identified through the district facility study. The short-term plan is to use Fund 46 monies to refurbish the track at Clear Lake High School. So having that plan just approved and on file is one of the requirements for having a Fund 46.
That being said, I will entertain a motion to approve Fund 46.
I move to approve Fund 46 plan and update.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve Fund 46 update. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is consideration / approval of track refurbishing.
some of what we'd like to discuss here involves competitive bidding process, so I think it might be appropriate to table some of the in-depth discussion. But basically, we, with the simple part of it, without getting into those details, is that we knew that there were some minor cracks in our track. We went into the winter knowing that. The bad winter that we had, we realized this spring that the cracking was significant. We canceled 2 track meets that we were set to host this year. We've had multiple vendors out to look at it. And we looked at repair options, and basically asphalt repair companies basically said we would not want to fill the cracks because you would be looking at damage again in a year. They basically, consensus is that it's beyond repair. So then we've been looking at what are the options and trying to get different vendors for replacement of the track and total refurbishment of it. And we've had some challenges in getting responsiveness with everybody, with contractors being as busy as they are. So I guess I can talk about the interlocal purchasing service. So with some of the difficulties and delays we've had in getting responses, so we had 4 or 5 different groups come out. That Mr. Osmond worked hard to get them out here, and then they would take their measurements, and they would talk about getting us a bid back, and it's been delay, call them, follow up, and it's been a lot of delays. And so one thing that we learned about was participating in a purchasing cooperative. And so one of the vendors that had sent in one of the bids that we had is part of, it's called TIPS, or it's an acronym for the Interlocal Purchasing Service. So it's a cooperative purchasing service that is nationwide. It's this particular one. It's based in Texas, but they cover the nation. The nation is covered by different regions and different representatives in each region. So they are a government agency. There's no cost. So we basically became a member of this TIPS service. What they are is, as I understand it, basically like a CISA in Texas. Okay, and so what they do is they take all kinds of things that schools and government agencies might purchase, whether it's HVAC, whether it's different kinds of construction facilities, you name it. They have just dozens and dozens of items there. And so what they do is they put together requests for proposals. And so they put together requests for proposals for track building and track refurbishing or track construction. And they put it out to bidders across the country. And then those vendors or those contractors then put together a bid for TIPS. They vet it. They weigh it against others. They look at the cost proposals, and basically they verify the cost. They verify that it's fair. They verify the quality, and it's a way to have something vetted and give some assurance that it's a fair, appropriate proposal compared against others, and it's held to a certain standard. And so that was one of the avenues that I chose to pursue, based on the fact that we were not able to, we normally want to get multiple bids for the board to consider, and we were having a real challenge with doing that. So this is an alternate way to go about that process. So I guess, again, some of the details of some of the competitive bid process would probably be more appropriate to talk about in close, but that's, just for those listening to understand, that's the route we chose to go here. So,
All right, so let's table that then and move on to our next item of business, the approval of the 23-24 WIA membership renewal.
Okay, so again, this is a yearly thing that we do. We have been members of the high school WA for who knows how long, since I don't know how long since WI has been around, and then we started the junior high about probably 10 or so years ago. And so this is just a annual renewal, basically approval, and then I need to have I believe Greg sign it, so saying that we want to continue to be members of the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association.
Does anybody have any questions about that part? Seeing none, then I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 Wisconsin WIA membership renewal.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the 23-24 membership renewal of WIAA. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion passes. And then the next item of business is our discussion / approval of district annual meeting date.
Okay, so traditionally, it's been the last fourth Monday in August. This year that would put it on Monday, August 28th. That would be the night before. We started in-service on Tuesday the 29th. Started at 7 p.m. the past couple of years, so if that's what the board would like to do, that would be the tradition that we've done for several years. The board can set the date whenever, well, not whenever it wants, but sometime in the fall.
I don't think I'll be able to make it, but you don't have to make your decision because of me.
Okay, you guys are all good with that meeting?
I won't be there, but
I'm good.
Okay, three of us are okay with it. So that being said, let's approve that. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the annual meeting for August 28th, 2023 at 7 p.m.
second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we set the district annual meeting date for the 28th at 7 p.m. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, the next item of business is superintendent notes.
Okay.
Mr. Chris Peterson.
All right, thank you. So just going over some school events since our last meeting. We had a longer stretch of time here since our last meeting. I think it was May 8th. Fine Arts Festival was a new approach this year. They did a Friday evening with forensics, art, and 7 through 12 band and choir, and I think it was a big success with really great attendance and turnout. Speaking of the high school musical performances, they've had lots of them here in the spring with high school graduation and awards nights, Memorial Day, the band performed. Last Thursday, something new, the 100-year celebration of the bandstand in town. There's going to be an ongoing music series throughout the summer to celebrate that, and so our marching / pep band went there, and they were one of the opening acts for a brass band that then performed after that. So that was last Thursday, and marching practice starts this week. In fact, tonight. So music has been busy. Spring sports wrapped up with some nice successes. Track had a number of kids go on to sectionals. Nobody made it to state this year, but a lot of young kids participating and having success. Baseball also won a couple tournament games. Graduation awards night, since our last meeting went very well. Something new and fun this year, we did a senior grad walk at the elementary school, so the graduates bussed over before rehearsal on that Friday morning and did a walk through the elementary school. So that was kind of neat for the young students to see, and also for their former teachers and staff members at the elementary to see those seniors and how they've changed and grown. Let's see, lots of elementary activities to end the year. It's always a crazy ending with track and field days for older grades, for the kindergarten graduation, 6th grade graduation. We had a piano recital this year. So Amy Stender, through Community Ed, has done piano lessons this year for the first time in many years. And so they had a piano recital a couple weeks ago. That was very nice. JK prom, junior kindergarten prom, lots of field trips and special events to end out the year. They had an assembly on the last day, which was something new this year, with a presenter who was an entertainer but had an anti-bullying message woven throughout that. Final exams at the high school, and positive finish to the school year in both buildings with all the normal busyness and craziness of closing out the school year. We talked about the Vision Element Study Team continuing to work here in the background throughout the spring. We've got the Professional Learning Communities at Work Conference in Minneapolis coming up here in just a couple weeks, June 26th through 28th. We have 18 from our district going, including admin and teachers. So great group going down there again this year. And we've got some of our brand new teachers, new hires that are going with too. So a great opportunity for them to integrate and get to know some of the veterans on staff. So that's exciting. I got nominated to be on the CISA 11 Joint Steering Committee with other superintendents. I think that's one of those things that the new guy gets kind of stuck with and nominated with. So I wouldn't say it's such a special thing, but anyway. So. And I mentioned, ongoing things in Madison here this time of year. So we're entering a new biennium in the state budget. So there's been a lot of political activity going on with the state budget. And there's apparently an informal deal that has been struck, and it's certainly, until it's signed into law, we don't know, but that new revenue limit increase that they're looking at of $325 per student for both years of the biennium. So that's an increase per student that we haven't actually seen in quite a while. So, and it's for both years. So we're talking $650 per student revenue increase over the next 2 years. That's bigger than we've had in a long time. So that's good news. You know, that we're talking, that's close to almost $200,000 in very rough numbers. Almost $200,000 in new revenue for Clear Lake over each of the next 2 years. So that's pretty huge. So that's good news. And also looking at bumping up the amount of special ed reimbursement we get from the state. Not a lot, but some there too. So some good news for schools coming there. So, but yeah, busy time of year, finishing out budget orders and orders arriving and being processed before June 30th. A lot of work with staffing and hiring for next year, interviews. Like I said, end of the student year. Summer school starts tomorrow at all levels, and Mrs. Anderson had a staff meeting this morning for the elementary crew. Get together. That's right. We don't have meetings anymore. It's get together. It's a lot more fun now that Mrs. Anderson's over there. So. I don't have meetings anymore. They have get-togethers. Yeah, anyway, undergoing summer maintenance projects. They're already here working on the blacktop outside to do the ceiling project. Again, closing out the budget, approving open enrollment applications for next year. So busy time of year. So, but it's been a good finish to the school year.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Next item of business then is our future agenda items. No, wait a second. Contemplated closed session. All right, so contemplated closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85 paragraph 1E, 19.85 paragraph 1C, and 19.85 paragraph 1F. Thank you, Lori. To discuss deliberation of competitive bids, staff compensation, and student conduct. I will pull the board. Nettie?
Yes.
Mr. Munson, myself, yes. Christie?
Yes.
And Matt?
Yep.
All right, we are in closed session. All right, we're back in open session. I will entertain the first of two motions.
I move to approve the high school track refurbishment project, accepting the bid of Fisher Tracks for the total cost up to $367,184, which includes a 10% contingency build-in.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. The motion is read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next, I will entertain another motion.
I move to approve the athletics and enrollment data secretary position as revised, with Clary Blanchard as the approved hire for the position.
I'll second it.
That has been properly moved and seconded as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I will entertain, I guess, a third motion then at this time, if there's nothing else on our future agenda items. Anybody have anything that we would like to talk about on a future agenda? Put on a future agenda.
There's the VEST presentation, and it looks like some handbook updates and approvals.
Yeah, it's that time of year. So yeah, we'll have the VEST group planning to come on July 10th, and then we've got, it's that time of year to do all those summer handbook updates and start talking budget for 23-24 here in late July and August. So.
I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I'd like to, at some time this summer, before next year begins, talk about maybe our policies around cell phones. Maybe some of the YouTube that our students are able to watch in school.
That'd be a perfect part of the handbook discussion.
Okay.
And maybe if you've got some ideas to share before those, some input to give to the principals might be good to, if you wanted to share some of those ideas, before the meeting so they can.
All right, does anybody have anything else? All right, so then.
That would be
adjourn.
Yeah, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. We are adjourned.